Well, today marks 8 years since Bafana Bafana captain Senzo Meyiwa was shot and killed. His life tragically cut short at the height of his career in what at first looked like a robbery that had gone wrong. He was in the company of his then girlfriend, Khumalo, and 5 others, including childhood friends. The 5 men accused of killing the Bafana Bafana captain claim that they are being framed. Now, what is the anniversary of his death? We go back to the very place where the star grew up. eNCA reporter Slindelo Masikane is joining us from Umlazi. Hello to you, Sli, and you've been on this story since nearly the very beginning, and you know the ins and outs of this, and there's a lot that we can reflect on, of course, but as we do that, let's just bring us up to speed with the latest developments.
Certainly so. Gareth, good morning from Umlazi, the place where Senzo Meyiwa's talent, where his loved ones actually, reside. And this is where his passion for soccer essentially was developed. My colleague Nkanyiso Mdlaloso will show you that it's in these streets here in Umlazi where Senzo Meyiwa was discovered by his teacher, in fact his principal at the time, that he had a skill. At the time he was still a striker, but as his talent was developed and nurtured, he then of course became a striker. And we know that in these streets of Umlazi he's known as somebody who was really dedicated to football and someone who was really full of fun. Speaking to his family and his friends, they all describe him as somebody who was really loved by this community. He wanted to develop it. He wanted to develop the talent of youngsters in this area. We know that before his death, he had said or told of plans that he wanted to build a soccer academy in this area to be able to give back to the community. And you speak, of course, of the latest developments in terms of the trial 8 years later, 8 years in the making. Finally, we're seeing 5 men accused of the killing of Senzo Meyiwa in the dock, facing charges of murder as well as defeating the ends of justice. And it's been a trial that has had many twists and turns. It's one that began back in April, Gareth, and since then, in fact, we've only had 3 witnesses, including the one who's still in the witness box, take to the stand, in fact. And of course, we've seen drama not only inside of court but outside as well. At this point, we are on the state's 3rd witness, which is one of those who was in the house, Khumalo, and Senzo Meyiwa's best friend. He is recounting and telling the court exactly what he knows or what he remembers about what happened that evening. And one of the key moments that's come out of his testimony is the fact that he has actually pointed out one of the accused as being one of the 2 intruders who was in the house in a dock identification. Let's take a listen.
Mr. Madlala, if you can perhaps state or inform the court who is this person that made you uncomfortable?
Uyacela nje ukuthi mfethu ke uye nje odabeni ke ukuthi utshele nje inkantolo ukuthi ubani umuntu lona owakwenza ukuthi awunyanye. Yes, this man with the blue t-shirt or green. He is the one that was held by Senzo. Sorry? He's the one who had the cut beard that was cut or shaved.
And was confusing to follow at times, wasn't it, Sli? And then it got even more curious when we started talking about the case of the 2 dockets.
Of course, that's one of the key features of this trial, Gareth, is the fact that we are talking about a matter that has 2 case dockets, both of which have 2 different versions of what actually transpired on that fateful evening. One docket accuses these 5 men on trial. The other docket says those who were in the house actually have a case to answer to, and that there were no intruders who entered that home in forceless. And we are seeing the defense in terms of accused 1 to 4 really using that docket, that is docket 375, to poke holes in the state's case. The current attorney, that is TT Tobane, has actually put the version of docket 375 to Khumalo Madlala. Let's take a listen.
Kelly wanted to give the firearm to the deceased.
Ayikho leyo nto, amanga lawo.
Do you mind to wait for me to finish and wait for the interpreter? What have changed now? That's when a shot went off and hit the deceased at close range.
Ke uKhelike wayesefuna unikezela isibhamu asidlulise kuyena ke umufi ila khona ke sase siqhuma khona ke isibhamu eseduze kakhulu.
Ayikaze yenzeke leyo.
That thing never happened. That never happened.
Isibhamu bengekho lo ngendlini because waphuma wabaleka yena.
When the firearm went off, Longwe was not in the house because he ran out.
Okay. So you agree with me that Longwe ran out after the firearm was taken away from him? That's what I'm putting to you. Now you agree that Longwe ran out?
Ingabe ke manje uyavumelana nami uma ngithi uLongwe wabaleka emuva kokuthi isibhamu saphucwa kuyena?
Amanga lawo.
Those are lies.
And Sleen, I think without a doubt many people are going to remember your discussion with Kelly Khumalo, the then girlfriend of Senzo, and perhaps it's worth, as we look back to today being the very day 8 years ago where he lost his life, remind us what Kelly Khumalo had to say.
Of course, a lot of speculation around when the state itself will be calling those like Kelly Khumalo who were in the home, those the public believe should be in the witness box. Some believe they should be in the dock with the 5 accused. We had a conversation with her back in July, and she was quite stern in saying that she wants her day in court, saying that the past 8 years have been quite difficult for her and her family, and that they live under this cloud that she wishes she could actually clear up, because she maintains that they were intruders and that those who believe that she shot Senzo Meyiwa are simply mistaken, because he as well as her were in love, and of course we know that they have a baby together. Let's just take a look at some of those highlights from that conversation. You found out in your relationship that he was married. Why did you want to continue with it?
I did not continue. He dropped his relationship to be with me.
Your lawyer has also maintained that you want your day in court.
Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? My daughter's father was murdered, and nobody deserves that. My life has been in danger since day one of the murder. I was Kelly Khumalo before Senzo Meyiwa. I did not know who Senzo Meyiwa was until a friend of mine, Lucia Mtiane, explained to me who he was. Nobody knew who Senzo Meyiwa was until he was attached to the brand Kelly Khumalo. So, really? Like, really?
It really was 8 years ago to the day. Slindelo Masikane, thank you very much indeed. No doubt we're going to come back to you again in Umlazi later in the day, as it's been many, many years, lots of questions still to be answered.